Hi everyone, it's Mark here from Newcastle Hypnotherapy. I'm an anxiety specialist, and today we're talking about how to use your creative mind to reduce your anxiety symptoms and to feel an awful lot better. So thanks to all of you who've been sending me questions. I kind of put this together after a couple of questions that came in over the last couple of days. I do love your questions, so please keep them coming in and I'll try and answer as many as I can. So one of the things we find with people who've got anxiety, depression, stress, worry, negative thought is that they're stuck in a bit of a mental rut. They usually get up and do the same things day after day. They watch the same TV, they eat the same things, they've got the same routine, they think the same way, and that means that they're kind of staying in that rut. Some people would say that they're actually remembering rather than thinking. That means you just get up and you do the same things automatically rather than actually thinking about it and having the choices. And sometimes we need a little bit of help just to help us to change and to get where we need to be to feel better. And that's what some of the tips are going to do for you today, how to use this creative mind. We've all got a very, very powerful mind. And we find very quickly with clients that when they start to do these sort of things and follow these tips and put a little bit of practice in every day, they can really feel very different and make quite a big change to their anxiety. So remember that if we've got stress, anxiety, depression, worry, all of these sort of things, we're kind of stuck in a rut and we need to get out of it. And sometimes for some people that change is a little difficult, but for other people they find it very easy. And I suppose that's where the help comes in, where we're coaching you to do this, to help you to move forward faster. There's lots of self-help tips here and on our YouTube channel, but when you work privately with us, you know, this is where things happen and you get that anxiety freedom so much quicker. So first thing we want to look at is that we need to get creative. Our brains are meant to constantly keep evolving and learning and doing new things. And if we don't do that, first of all, we stagnate, but also we don't produce new brain cells as much as we should, and that's when we get problems. And we know that people who kind of get stuck later on in life are much more susceptible to getting dementia and Alzheimer's and all sorts of other problems, where people who keep mental flexibility going and learning new things and being happy are far better. So the first thing I'm going to say is music. Music's a fantastic thing if it's positive. If you listen to a bit of music and it triggers maybe a painful old relationship, that's something we need to get rid of. But if we can listen to some music and it makes us feel good and it makes us want to move, that's really positive. So every day we should be listening to some good music. Listen to music that you've liked from the past that really makes you happy and feel good, but then also spend some time listening to some new music. I find as I'm getting older, I struggle to get into new music as quickly as I used to. I used to just pick up albums and listen to them very, very quickly and really get into them. It takes me a little bit longer now, but I like to try and spend a little bit of time in the car listening to different radio stations, listening to new music. And that helps, again, the mind builds all these brain cells when we do things like that. But music's very powerful. It helps us to move. And it's really important to get into that music and enjoy it and explore new types. And I'd say that if you've not listened to, say, classical music before, do it. Listen to it, see what you like, see what you don't. Same with jazz and blues and rock. There's all sorts of different types of music out there. And even getting in and playing musical instruments is a very, very powerful thing. You know, you might just want to get into drumming or a bit of percussion, play the guitar, learn the banjo. You don't have to be great at it. It's just getting into the mode of doing something new. So music's very, very possible. And definitely learn to play music. I mean, if you look on, I'll give you a great example. There's a lovely lady called Ali Avery on Facebook who does drumming. Just search her, you'll find her. She just takes people who get out and just start drumming very simply, and they have a whale of a time, including kids. So do look that up and just find something local to you. You can do it at home. You've got YouTube with tons of free music. It doesn't have to cost you a penny. The next thing is drawing, painting, doodling, any sort of art, anything where you're being creative's really good. Now, when I mention this to clients, an awful lot of people say, hang on a minute, I'm no good at this, and so what? You don't have to be good at it. It's about enjoying it. So just get a sketch pad and start drawing. Just get into it. Maybe listen to some good music while you're doing it. You could get some paint out, get some crayons. You can get these mindful coloring books. I know my dad, you know, he's in his 80s, But when he doesn't think people are looking, he's sometimes colouring in the little ins books, and he enjoys it. And there's something very therapeutic about doing this. It's good for the mind, and it's really relaxing. So do it while you're listening to music. If you're not good at drawing, or you just feel you haven't got the confidence, go on YouTube and find some lessons about how to do it. Just get some flowers, get some cards, look at a scene outside. We all have to start somewhere, and then we get better at it. And it's not something you have to show anybody else. However, it really inspires that creative mind. It's a very relaxing thing to do. It's far better than spending hours just scrolling on your phone. And drawing, art, anything like that, crafts, there's tons of things you can do. Really, really relaxing. You could even go out there and make some crafty things and donate them to a charity to sell to raise some money. And, you know, I know people who knit bears and knit blankets, loads of little things like that. So again, use your imagination. The next one is food. Now, food's really funny, and again, people who are stuck in a rut usually seem to eat the same foods over and over and over. And when you suggest anything to them that they might change or try something new, they shut down. It's important to maybe just start by learning to cook one new meal a week. Again, lots of people don't cook at all. So it could be that you learn how to cook and prepare food. Again, YouTube's got loads and loads of tips and help on this. And try new foods. Go into the supermarket and pick up veg you've not had before. Try different types of fruit. Try different things. But there's something really satisfying about cooking that makes us feel better. One of my favorite times is on a Sunday when I've got the energy to do it and I feel good. I'll stick on some really good rock music. I'll get in the kitchen. I'll enjoy cleaning the kitchen up, and I'll cook a really nice Sunday lunch. And then I enjoy the family enjoying that. So that's a really good thing for me. Rock music, cooking. Learn to cook. Loads of people don't know how to do it. There's so many foods out there. There's over 100,000 foods on this planet, and most people stick to about a dozen, which is really sad. I know when I went veggie, I suddenly found those things like quinoa and couscous and lentils and chickpeas. My mum never used to cook those sort of things. I used to find there's lots of different ways to cook things. There's so many different foods out there. I really got into Indian food some years back. That was strange. My ex-partner didn't like Indian food, so we never ate Indian. But I love Indian food, and I can eat it all day. So again, use your imagination. Loads and loads of tips on YouTube, and just learn to do something new with food. Learn to cook. It's very satisfying, and it's a great way of bringing that anxiety down. Dancing. Now, dancing is very important. We know that whenever we feel poorly, we feel sick, we feel fed up, we feel stuck, it's important to move. It's, you know, emotion is emotion. So again, use that music and start to dance. Now, you might not be any good at dancing. You can do it at home with the curtains closed when there's nobody about. Just find something slow and easy, but then you can get into Zumba, you can get into classical type dancing, you know, ballet, things like that. You might just want to do some belly dancing. I remember some years ago, this brings back a really good memory. I was part of organising a little holiday, and we had this lovely lady called Christine came in and showed us how to belly dance. And it was really silly because she put these little belts around people's stomachs, including the guys, and there's these little bells. And within about 5 minutes, you had the whole room smiling, beaming from ear to ear, dancing and having so much fun. And I could never have thought that belly dancing would be as good as that. It's a really good way to keep fit. And it was just fun. It's just something you laughed at. It was silly, but there was 20, 30 people on the dance floor all doing the same. And that's a really good thing to do. So find some ways to move. You might want to do some creative waving about. Just be childlike. Okay? Not childish, be childlike. Learn to do some new things. Let music move you. My partner Mel loves to dance, and it really makes her happy. You can do it at home. We can do it once we're out of lockdown, but really get into dancing and movement and get into that. On a similar note, exercise is a really important part of it. And I know that when we feel down and anxious and depressed, we don't want to exercise. But if you get out there, get in the woods, go for a walk, you feel so much better for it. And sometimes we have to do the thing to feel like doing it to get that motivation. But exercise is really good. For a lot of clients, getting down the gym, you know, they feel great on the treadmill. Some people don't get on the treadmill, get on the bike, find an exercise that you love to do. It could be walking, it could be swimming, it could be cycling, whatever you want to do. It's really good just for changing the whole physiology of the body. It creates all these feel-good hormones, and it really just takes a lot of that anxiety, stress, and depression down. Another story I want to tell you about dancing as well before I move on was that some years ago I had a friend, a really nice guy, I'm not going to mention his name, and he was desperate to find a partner. He was, I don't know, he just didn't fit in with an awful lot of stuff. He tried walking, he tried groups, and he went out and he started doing this salsa dancing. And he loved it. He just couldn't stop moving around. He was a totally different person, and he met a lovely partner. He met loads of people. He wasn't very good at it to start with, but now he's brilliant at it. And again, just getting in those social things, and dancing is a really good way to do it. The next one is gardening. Now, some people say, I don't like to garden. Some people don't have a garden. Very easily, window boxes, little pots, little boxes. You can pick them up all over the place. If you've got a garden, do that. Mel really loves just to put those seeds in, watch them grow, water them every day, and then eat some of the stuff that comes out. I used to do it years ago when I had the time, and gardening's just so relaxing and calming. You don't have to spend an awful lot of time on it, and if you do it in boxes and pots, it saves all that digging and all the hard work that goes in there. And there's something very satisfying about growing something from a seed right the way through. And if it's something you can eat, if it's fruit or veg, it's even better. Some things you can grow very, very quickly within a matter of a couple of weeks, such as spinach and kale, and then you can add those to the food. And that's also a great thing to get your kids involved with as well. There's something about being out in nature with the blues and the greens that just helps to take the anxiety and stress away. So get into gardening. You could design a garden. You don't have to have one. You could design it. You can watch gardening programs. And again, YouTube is full of information about ways to do gardening. Next thing I'd suggest is writing, journaling, poetry, songs, anything you want to do like that. There's something good about writing a short story. Again, you might be hopeless at it. I have a friend who writes books and he loves it. He gets into a lovely trance-like state. I know another lady who's into journaling. You can journal what you do over the day. You'll be very creative. You can get into poetry. You can write songs. They don't have to be great, but it's good things to do. And again, very creative, and it gets the mind going. Learn a new skill. Now, there's loads of things that we can do to learn new skills. And again, this develops the brain, the mind, the whole lot. So it could be that you learn a new language. You can do that online. It's very easy. Again, YouTube, loads of free types like that. Magic. If you can learn some magic tricks and go and show the people, amaze the kids, that's a fantastic thing to do. One of the things I regularly do when we haven't got lockdown is I run little workshops, and I ask the group, what do they want to learn? And quite often I have to then go and learn something new to then teach it. And I find one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it to other people. So go and learn some new skills. One of the best things I ever did was I went and did a proper NLP practitioner course. I made loads of friends and I learned loads of skills. I learned loads about me, but I also learned a lot of these skills to help other people. It was the same with self-hypnosis and hypnosis. I love to get in courses. I love to learn new skills. Lots of them about really cheap. We run something called the secret workshops when we're not in lockdown. And it's just learning these skills, and then maybe you just want to use them for yourself or help somebody else. There's loads of online classes. There's loads of courses. There's cookery classes, dance classes, you name it. There's loads of things out there. And the key to it is just get off your bum and go and do something. It might be a walking group, whatever you want to do, but just get out and learn some new skills. Another big one is be curious. You know, it's very easy for us to get stuck in the way that we think. But then if we start questioning things, you know, why the government telling us this? Why does food have to be cooked that way? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? It changes the information that we bring in, and it excites the mind. It keeps us going. So you could look at something. You could watch a TV program or a film that you've seen 100 times before, and then say to yourself, how would somebody else you know view that film? Isn't it funny that one person can watch a film and love it and another person sees it as negative? And if you're trying to step into somebody else's shoes as to looking at it their way, wow, that's amazing. You get a whole new perspective. One of the NLP principles is basically everybody does everything to the best of their ability for the right intentions. So if we look at a politician, for example, and say, is such and such doing this because he believes it's right? That changes our view from he's a miserable old evil bugger to maybe he is trying to do something right, but maybe he's looking at it from the wrong perspective. So be curious, start asking questions. Again, this is childlike. My daughter asks loads and loads of questions, and it stops and it makes me think. And I think, oh yeah, how do I answer that? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? We do an awful lot of things that we don't realize. A good example of that was the story of family sitting around for dinner, and they ask grandma or mum, why'd you cut the top off the meat, the bone? And she says, I don't know, I just did it because my mother did it. So then they go to grandma and say to grandma, why'd you cut the top off the meat? And she says, well, I always did it because my mother did it. So then they get in touch with great grandma and they say, why did you cut the top off the meat? And she said, because my roasting tin was too small. So it's amazing how we do things without questioning because somebody else has done it. And if we start to ask questions, if we ask why, if we ask how, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It just changes our mind and we take in a lot more information. So that's a nice one to do. Something else you could do is rearrange your room. You know, you sit in the same room or bedroom or whatever it is on a regular basis. Why not change things around, decorate it in a different way, draw a different plan? How could it be better? And change things around on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be there permanently. It's just change it around. You're in a different environment and you feel an awful lot better. Another tip is improve your environment. You might want to just sit there and say, how can I make this a bit better? It could be every time you walk into a room, you pick up a dirty plate and take it in the kitchen. It could be you just clean a little bit extra on the wall. It's just make every room a little bit better every time you visit it. That changes things around quite a lot. And then finally, I'm going to say, start working with a goal board. Now, years ago, quite a wealthy person told me, he said, Mark, start using goal boards. It'll change your life. Now, a goal board is simply, it could be the fridge door. It could be one of those cork boards that you buy from the supermarkets. And you start to put in there everything you'd like for your life to be. It's not necessarily what you'd like to own. It's how you'd like your life to be. It could be you want a new car. Could be you want a new house. Could be you want to learn a new skill. You'd like to have X amount of savings in the bank. You might want an investment property. You might have learned to be a happier person. You like to get on with your family better. And the idea is you put on everything you can. Use magazines, use color pictures, put it up there and put it somewhere that you'll see it every day several times. So the fridge door is usually a really good place to put it. And the idea is by putting these things on there where you see it, it helps you to take action. So no good just putting things up there and saying, wouldn't that be nice? You need to start taking some action towards it, and then you can start putting some plans together. So you might want to start a little business to increase your finances. It might be you go and learn that new skill. You start looking at cars. Now, when I started to do that, a good example was the car I was driving at the time wasn't what I wanted. It was falling to bits and costing me a fortune. And I put up that I wanted a nearly new Skoda car, top left-hand corner. And within about 6 months, I had that. And actually, almost everything I put on that goal board, I had. Now, it didn't magically happen. It's just that I started working. Every day I'd get up and go into the fridge, and I'd start to do the tasks I needed and more of them to get what I wanted. And we got most of the things on that goal board. I think we got 9 out of 10 or something like that. So it's worth having those up just to remind you, and also the reasons why you do things in life. You know, you need to have a little purpose. You need to know why you're doing this. It might be you're just looking after your family. It might be you want to provide for them. You might want a pension. You might want savings. You might want to clear debt. You know, have a little list and slowly knock it down as you put a pound or two off it each day. It might be you want to lose weight. But goal boards have this magic ability to focus the mind, and it really helps. And a lot of the successful people I know use them, and you can spend time every day just using your goal board, putting things on there, making lists, knowing what you have to do, and they work very, very well. And again, you can go into YouTube and learn how to do all of this. It's fantastic. So we've got lots and lots of different choices of how to be creative. I'm sure you could add more in there if you wanted to. And do let me know how that helps you. As I mentioned, clients find that by being creative, doing the things they should do, getting hobbies, looking after the family, enjoying life, a bit of self-care, which is really what this is all about, is really important for all of us. It's important to do that. And you need to be spending some time every day being creative. Might be you get up and that's the first thing you do. Might be the last thing you do before you go to bed. And it makes a hell of a difference. So remember, we've got arts, we've got crafts, we've got music, we've got instruments, we've got goal boards, we've got skills, gardening, attitudes, thinking, design, rearranging things and learning. And this helps us to get out of a rut. when we practice them daily. So I hope that's been really useful for you. Do give me any feedback. I always love it. Thank you again for everybody who sends me questions. I do love them, and I try to answer them all. If you're looking for some help with your anxiety, stress, depression, or worry, and you'd like to do it faster and you'd like some expert help, get in touch with me, drop me a message, and we can arrange a free strategy call. This means we can just get on the phone for 10, 20 minutes, talk about your problems, look at the best way forward, and then see if it's a good fit for us to work together. I only take on 3 clients per week, so I am limited, but I'll consider working with anybody if they're willing to put the effort and time in, if you're ready to make that change. Thanks again for sharing these videos with your friends. We've got tons more on YouTube, lots of help, and on Facebook. You'll find the links below. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have fun and take care. Be creative.